All right, so today I'm going to be talking about potholes and things that don't make sense in Harry Potter. So I'm going to start with my favorite, which is Mortar's Map and Peter Pettigrew. This blew my mind when I first heard this because I was like, what the literal F? Hear me out. Fred and George were first years when they stole the Mortar's Map from Filch's office. Ron had Scabbers, aka Peter Pettigrew, his whole time at Hogwarts. We also know from the third book when Fred and George give the map to Harry, it senses Peter Pettigrew on the map. That's literally how they found out about Peter Pettigrew still being alive. This must mean for 3 years that they had this map and Ron was at Hogwarts, they were seeing their younger brother sleeping every night with a man named Peter Pettigrew. Beyond creepy, right? And yet they somehow never question this or seem to mention it to Ron? I mean, come on, like what? Okay, the next one is about Voldemort killing Snape. So, why does Voldemort kill one of his most loyal followers, or so he thinks, using the horribly cruel and gruesome method of his Snake Nagini versus a painless, I don't know, Avada Kedavra? Like, come on, man, you're gonna kill all your enemies using a spell that's virtually the quickest and most painless way to die, but with your most faithful Death Eater, let's just let my snake slowly eat him. Makes no sense to me. Polyjuice Potion. All right, so this one only is a plot hole in the movies, but it is still pretty significant, so I mentioned it. Barty Crouch Jr. does a great job impersonating Mad Eye Moody and everything. I mean, he's even has his mannerisms and behaviors down pat. Like, he's clearly a great actor. So that's all fine and dandy until we think of 2 years before when Ron and Harry have to transform into Crabbe and Goyle. Only they still sound like Ron and Harry. Or in the seventh and eighth movies, when they turn into Reg, Mathilda, and Albert to break into the Ministry. Or maybe when Hermione uses Polyjuice Potion to turn into Bellatrix. Same voice. So what's up with that? The next one is the Forbidden Forest. All I gotta say is Dumbledore would like to remind you all that the forest in the grounds is out of bounds to students. Maybe that's because there are literally deadly giant spiders, giants, centaurs, werewolves, and I don't know, Lord Voldemort. So that makes sense so far, right? Wrong. Because as first years, when Harry and Ron and Malfoy get detention, where are they sent? To the Forbidden Forest. So maybe you're saying, well, that doesn't make sense to send some 11-year-old wizards into a deadly forest, but at least it's daytime, right? Wrong. They send them at night. Well, at least they have Hagrid, right? Nope. He sends Draco and Harry by themselves, and they separate. And what do these first years know? How to cast Alohomora? Yeah, that will really come in handy when I'm facing the darkest, most powerful wizard of all time. And who do they run into, of course, while taking this casually deadly night stroll alone? No other than Lord Voldemort himself. They just nearly escaped death. But yeah, what parent in their right mind would send their kids to school like that? That literally makes zero sense. Veritaserum. So for this one, like, it wouldn't be a big deal if it wasn't like a major part of the plot. But we spend the entire fifth book hearing Harry complain about how he is such an outcast and no one believes him in the Ministry and everyone thinks he's a liar. So why not, I don't know, use some magic to prove it? Like, how about some Veritaserum? That stuff seems to work pretty well at getting someone to tell the truth. Seems like that's what should have been done if they really wanted to know if Voldemort had returned or not. You have your mother's eyes. Again, this one's only a plot hole for the movies. So we all know the epic line of Snape's last words to Harry are, "You have your mother's eyes," in the movie. But then we go to the Pensieve, and it's shockingly clear that no, Harry does not in fact have his mother's eyes. Like, you think they could have cast an actress with at least some blue eyes or put in some colored contacts or something if they wanted to make this such a plot point. I don't know. Seeing Thestrals. So Harry shows up his fifth year and like suddenly sees the things carrying the carriages to Hogwarts. This is supposed to be because you can only see Thestrals if you've seen death, and Harry had just witnessed Cedric's death the previous year. But what about this? Hadn't Harry also witnessed his mother's death? I mean, he sees flashbacks to it when he comes close with Dementors, so why hasn't he been able to see Thestrals before? Time Turner. Okay, so turns out in Prisoner of Azkaban, Hermione is given a time turner in order to take extra classes. They then decide to use it to save Buckbeak and Sirius Black. But how come Harry's not like, wait a minute, we're saving a flying bird but not my dead parents? Like, you think you'd want to use this thing for that, or I don't know, stopping Voldemort? And you might say, well, the time turner can only go back so far. But what about in The Cursed Child, when they literally go back years? But yeah, I mean, I don't consider The Cursed Child canon, but still, there are some problems with time turners. Like, why don't they use them right when Voldemort comes back to stop it or stop Cedric from dying? I mean, J.K. Rowling eventually has them all destroyed in the fifth one because they were causing so many plot holes and problems, which is a good call on her part and makes sense until the cursed child suddenly just decides to bring them back. But I hate that book, so anyway. Voldemort cares for Harry's education. All I gotta say is think about this. Voldemort is like, Harry, don't worry about me. Just focus on school, because I won't come to try and kill you until the end of the school year. He essentially says this in every single book. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on these plot holes. Do you agree? Do you have any explanations? Be sure to comment and subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much.